Hello and welcome to my channel. This is Lisa with Lisa's Faith and Budget Planning channel. I'm excited to be here today. I'm excited to be here with you, getting into my Paycheck 1 for my paycheck to paycheck budgets. So paycheck to paycheck budgeting is an excellent tool to get you started if you're new with budgeting, because you're working with actual money that you actually have. I do prefer people do a monthly budget just to mock and see if they have enough for the entire month for all the expenses they're planning for. But a paycheck to paycheck budget definitely gives you the nitty-gritty of what you can and can't spend and forces you to think through, what do you need from this paycheck that might have to go into the next paycheck period to cover all the spending and bills coming out for paycheck 2. Some of us have paid 3 paycheck periods. Some of us get paid weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, all the things. The principle is still the same. You just apply it to the time period that you actually have. Now, I've already done my monthly budget, and I know I have enough income to cover all the expenses that I planned for the entire month. And these numbers are all right here. I planned it to almost the penny. So I have estimated left over $24.69. But I know 80% of my income comes in by the first of the month. Part of the income comes on the 30th of the previous month, which is this first salary check. My husband gets paid at the end of the month, so I apply it to the first of the next month. And then the rest of these are assigned on the first of the month, unless it's a weekend and holiday. And again, on the 30th or whatever the date is, that's when I get the money. And I just let it sit there until the new budget period starts. So date-wise really doesn't matter nearly as much as time period in the sense of actual cash for your actual budget. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to plan it out and take care of what we need to know. For me, my husband, I'm doing this early, so I still don't know how much his military retirement is going to change from 2024 to 2025 cost of living. That changes every year in January, February timeframe, so adjustments are made. I will get the actual numbers when they actually deposit it in the account, and we'll go from there once it happens. When I close out Paycheck 1, you'll know exactly what we got. So right now, I'm just going to put the $1,898.12. Again, I count all this on the first of the month. My husband also gets VA disability. He served 20 years active duty Navy if you're new, and when you leave the military, they check you out head to toe and you apply for your VA, and this is the number they came up with, $2,428.91. Again, this is a cost of living adjustment that's coming for this as well, and I don't have the exact numbers yet, but I will soon. I'm sure if I ask my husband to deep dive and dig through email or the actual websites, we'll find it, but usually he just likes to make it a surprise. When the deposit comes, we know. That's all. Rent, our oldest son pays rent. He is 26 years old. He pays us $827. Salary, I'm estimating at $1,412. My husband is a state employee. He's had the job less than a year. By the end of February, he'll be there a year, and then things should change the 1st of March. So we will see that as time happens, but for right now, we're going to budget exactly what we budgeted last year, and that works for us. I'm going to put $0.00 for other. This also could be balance forward. I use that term a lot when I take money from one time period to another, whether it's 1 month to next or paycheck to paycheck. And we will be coming up with a balance forward number here from paycheck 1 to paycheck 2, because 80% of our income comes in on the first of the month, and I need to make sure I can spread it out through the entire month and cover the bills and spending throughout the entire month. So let's go ahead and look at how much income we're actually talking about for the Paycheck 1 time period and total these numbers up.
Give me love, give me all your love,
all right, we are looking at $6,566.03. That is what we're looking at available for Paycheck 1, and part of it has to go to Paycheck 2, so I have enough for the entire month to cover every bill and expense that we're going to be spending. Now we're moving on to the expenses. So these are considered fixed expenses. These are variable expenses. I don't split that up on my monthly budget like that, just because my monthly budget, I have to get all these categories written down. So I don't really separate them or call them fixed and variable. But here in my paychecks, I have more room to write that out. And so my bills are pretty much the same every month. And I don't use a bill calendar anymore. I used to when my husband got paid every other Friday and I had to figure out what paycheck paid for what. But because my husband gets paid twice a month and we only have 2 paycheck periods, the money I consider at the first of the month and then the money that comes in on the 15th of the month, the exact same bills are being paid paycheck 1 as in paycheck 2 time period. They don't change month to month. So I'm not using a bill calendar anymore. I am just writing it out here, and then as the actuals happen, I go ahead and write the total here. Whether they're the same or up, they went up or down, does not matter. That's how I track that the bill actually happened, is by writing the actual number down when it happens. When do I find out that number? I look at my bank account every morning when I get up, and I go and look and see what changed in the checking account, and then I go and look and see if anything hit the credit card. Some of my bills are on a credit card and some of them just come right out of the checking account. It's just the way I've had it set up for a really long time. Doesn't really matter where it comes out as long as I go and look and write the actuals that it actually happened. If it is a credit card, then I don't know, I might start highlighting a highlight method. I don't know, to remind me to pay. And each week I have a weekly check-in, and when I do the spending for the week here in the spending categories, it all goes on the credit card, and then I make the payment to the credit card to pay off the spending that happened that week. I also include any bills that happened that week. So that is what I do in my weekly check-ins. First thing I have here is tithe. That's $204. And that is to tithe the salary check that's happening here. Greater Europe Mission, which is Jim here, is another tithe. This is going to tithe the VA disability. And that's $256.75. The tithe here is a salary and the military retirement. It's a combination of the two. So you're going to see that happen twice. Once in paycheck 1 and once in paycheck 2. It's just kind of split up. But these two categories going forward, military retirement, salary 1, salary 2, that is what we're getting right here, and that's what we're tithing going forward each month in 2 different time periods. It's just an easy way to break it up and honor and tithe to the church and do what our family loves to do and what God has always laid on our heart. It's something that we enjoy, as well as an act of worship for us. So that's why we have our tithing here. And then Greater Europe Mission is also a tithe based on that number up here. That also includes a little bit of processing fee, because it is taken out. I think it's either on a debit card or straight out of my checking account. Regardless, there is a 3% processing fee. Something new this year that we're doing, we're going to fully fund our Roth IRAs with Edward Jones. We've got this started. January 1st is the first time we're having it taken out. And my husband and I are both doing $665 a month. If you multiply it by 12, it's almost $8,000. Whatever the difference is, we'll catch that up at the end of the year. So $665, both mine and my husband's. This is not being, in years past, I've always fully funded my Roth, but in years past I saved up and then did it in January and did it for the whole year in January. This time around we're doing monthly contributions, just how the income worked out and how my husband's making less than he used to because of the job that he has, and it was a choice we made, and we're still very happy with the choice that we made. Even though it's less than we expected, we're still taken care of. God is still taking care of us. We still have the income and everything. So we are doing good here. Right now, I know what our mortgage payment was last year in 2024, which is $1,972.96. We used to make a principal-only payment that was included in that number. We are no longer doing that. That money went to the Roth. That was $550 principal-only payment. But regardless of that, I still will do a Mortgage Monday update on what our mortgage is doing once a month. And hopefully by the end of this year, we will be able to start contributing again and getting this mortgage paid off by the time we're 65, 66 years old, me and my husband. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Spectrum is our internet. It is 109. We live out in the county and can't really get it much cheaper. Anyways, Amazon Music, that is my husband's subscription. That's $10.59 a month. HP Instant Ink, $7.41. If any of these change because it's a new year and things like that, I'll put the actuals when they happen. YouTube Premium, we are paying $24.92. I don't think that's going to change. Hulu Plus, this is Hulu, Hulu Live, ESPN Plus, and Disney Plus, and Hulu and Disney Plus also I pay to not have commercials. So that is $101.75. This is our entertainment. This would be like our cable, things like that, because this has local news and stuff like that. So I'm happy with what we have there. Geico, when we ended the year, it was $177.24. That might change, probably will change with the new year. I just haven't got the new policy yet for our car. It's for 2 vehicles. And then our water, we are estimating back at $50 a month because we fixed the pipe. It's been a month, and hopefully the water bill will drop because we're using much less water. And we were paying as high as $88, but we had a leak. So that is what the problem was there for a couple months. All right, the budget for the spending categories. I've had to reduce these in order to fit these Roth for the month, and that is going to be $750 for grocery household for the first 14 days of the month. This is first 2 weeks. That's what Paycheck 1 is. It's always the 1st and the 15th when we have income that we count and use for the time period. 80% of it comes at the beginning of the month, and then I need to spread it out throughout. So this is how I'm spreading it out and making sure I stay within budget. If I go over these numbers, it's because I had the cash, but I just went over and I will have less for the rest of the month. So I have to be very careful. Restaurants, that's what REST is abbreviated for, and I am only giving myself $212.50. And basically I split in half what I planned. So $212.50 times 2 is $425 a month is what we're looking at. Don't know if we can do that, but we'll see. But it's still $100. Let's see, divided by 2, there you go, and then divided by 2 weekends here, and that is 106. The problem is when we have 5-weekend month, then it won't be $100, and we might have to adjust for that. So we'll see. Miscellaneous, I'm only giving myself $75. This is things that pop up that we may need. I know I need to work on getting more clothes for my youngest son and budgeting that going forward. Gasoline is $125. I spend about $65 depending on gas prices in my Nissan Armada. Occasionally my husband will get a fill up on his Jeep, which is about $44 if it's empty. $44. And then I might have to travel a little bit, about an hour, 2-hour round trip to pick up my father-in-law. He's supposed to be coming to our house in January, and I'll make that trip twice, so that raises the gas as well. So hopefully enough gas for the month. Copay is any prescriptions or doctor's appointments. Right now, all I know is we have prescriptions, and that's it. Unbudgeted is always 0. It's a placeholder for the buffer, the checking account. but I really don't have a lot available because most of it has to go to the next month. Or next month, geez. The next paycheck period to cover all the bills and expenses there. So let's go ahead and get the calculator again, and we're going to total the budget for these two columns and then find out how much we have available to balance forward into the new paycheck period in paycheck 2.
No one else makes me feel this way. Don't know what you do. Hold my hand, could you hold my hand? Look me in the eyes.
Okay, so I have my numbers. I know how much I need to pay for in paycheck 1 time period as far as the bills that are coming out and all the expenses and things like that. So I know I have $6,566.03. I'm going to subtract the $4,245.61, and then I'm going to subtract, and that's all my fixed bills. The water will change. I don't know exactly what that bill is going to be, and that's the only variable bill that's on here. The rest of these are fixed. So everything should stay the same unless they increase because of annual whatever. It's a new year. They can do that. We'll see. Some of these have already increased, like Hulu and Spectrum, but other than that, I think everything's going to stay the same. I don't think anything's going to change. Geico might change, and the water would change. The rest of it, I think, will stay the same. So plus the plus the $1,212.50. Did I do this right? I don't even know where I left off. Okay, $6,566.03 minus the $4,245.61. Oh, I hit the wrong key. That's what it was. And then I still have this left over, so this is what I planned for spending categories. Hopefully I can stay in budget for that, $1,212.50, which leaves me a little over $1,000 to go into the next paycheck period, which is a normal amount for me. So that is really, really good. So I'm going to estimate what I balance forward from paycheck 1 to paycheck 2, $1,107.92. That's really good. Now the actual numbers will change. Again, I'll have to wait until it happens before I can really write any of that down. But at least I am aware of I have enough to go to the next paycheck period. Hopefully this is enough to cover. This is usually $1,400, so it's a couple $100 less than I'm used to working with, but I'm going to try to do a lot of no spend and low spending in the month of January. I'm not going to stock up nearly as much. I'm going to go through what we have and hopefully make that work and things like that. So I have a lot I'm working on here as far as spending and making sure I have enough without putting myself in the hole, basically, and having to rework the numbers. I don't want to do that. I kind of want to stick with these numbers. So that's where I'm at, and I think this is pretty good. I'm going to put that in parentheses because I know that's an estimate, and then when I do the actuals, we'll know the actual balance forward later this month when I set up paycheck 2. So paycheck 1 is done and ready to go. I'll close that out when I set up paycheck 2. So that is my paycheck budget for this time period. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers, and I would love to have you as part of the family. And I hope you have an amazing and blessed day. Bye.
Yeah, that's all I need, and I'll be alright.